Today we are going to learn how to solder. Okay, today we're going to be soldering. I'm fortunate enough to have a rather nice soldering station called a Heiko 936. As you can see, it has a controller here for temperature. Okay, temperature scale all the way 480 degrees C or 896 degrees Fahrenheit. And the iron itself, quite a small tip on it, a beautiful little piece of equipment. Now, before we get started on soldering, we need to keep the tip of the iron clean. So we take a sponge, which is wet. Now, it should actually be a soldering sponge, but I didn't have one. So as you can see, trusty kitchen sponge. Got to be wet. The first thing we do is we tin the tip of the iron, the solder. Okay. Tin the iron. Alright, and then clean it off. And it gives us a nice clean tip. Nice clean tip to start soldering with. It's a must. Okay, now down to soldering. As you can see down here, we have component legs coming through the Vero board here, 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 here and here. Might be a little bit difficult to see, but trust me, they're there. First thing we need to do, as I said earlier, is clean our iron. So wipe it on the soapy sponge. Then we take our solder. Okay, we just tip the iron slowly, clean it up a little bit, yeah, like that. Good. Okay, now I apply heat to both the joint and the track at the same time. A little bit of solder, let it flow freely, and we have a beautiful joint. Another one here as well. Heat to the solder and the joint at the same, the track and the joint at the same time. A little bit of solder, and we have a beautiful joint. Another one up here. Track and joint at the same time. Apply solder to the track and joint at the same time. Beautiful joint. Another one here. Yep. And last but two more. One there. Joint and track at the same time. And joint and track at the same time. Heating them up, then apply the solder. Let it flow freely. There should be no gaps in the joint. It should look clean. There should be no bubbles of resin which runs down the centre of the solder. It should be a nice clean joint. Okay. Okay, now, the little circuit we put together a second ago and we then desoldered is basically a 12 volt to 3.9 volt power supply. On this side here we have our positive 12 volts and our 0 volts. Then we have our 100 microfarad 25 volt electrolytic capacitor sitting across positive and negative or 0. Okay, the positive side of the electrode cap for short. And then we have a 39 ohm resistor coming from positive 12 volts down to feed the cathode of the 3.9 volt Zener diode, and the anode of the Zener diode goes to 0 volts. Now the funny thing about Zeners is they work in reverse. Usually a diode will have its anode go to positive 12 or positive voltage and its cathode go to the negative side. Well, a Zener diode works in the reverse fashion. And what it does is when there's enough current flowing through the Zener, it will then hold whatever value Zener it is, i.e. this is a 3.9 volt Zener. It will hold 3.9 volts across itself. Okay, so there's positive 3.9 volts here and 0 volts here. So what we've done is we've dropped the other 8.1 volts across this 39 ohm resistor. Now if we go back and use Ohm's law, and we say that V on R equals I, we come up with 8.1 divided by 39 equals 207 milliamps. So what we can do now is we can supply here 3.9 volts out, V out, voltage out, 3.9 volts at 207 milliamps. This resistor is governing the amount of current flowing out. Also, this is a 1 watt Zener diode, so I do not want to exceed the current limit on that, which happens to be about, I think it's about 250 milliamps. Okay, if I use the power formula, which is P equals EI, in other words, power equals E or V times current, so power equals voltage times current. So if I go, or P on V will equal I, so if I go power, which is 1, divided by 3.9, I will come up with 256 milliamps. So at 256 milliamps flowing through this Zener, with 3.9 volts across it, we will be at 1 watt rating of the Zener diode. So we'll probably be coming close to blowing it up. So what I've done is I've cut the current flow back to 207 milliamps as opposed to 256. So it can safely operate at that range, providing 3.9 volts out. And that's the little circuit we built. Okay, now if your kiddies haven't left the room by now, leave the room. There's a joke coming up that's not appropriate for your ears. You gone? Good. Okay. Now Lindy asked her 10-year-old son Peter if he knew about the birds and the bees. I don't want to know, he cried. Promise you won't tell me, he said, bursting into tears. Anyway, Lindy was a little bit confused by this, and she said, Peter, what's wrong? I don't understand. Anyway, Peter said, Mum, oh Mum, at 7 you gave me There Is No Santa speech. And then at 8 I got There Is No Easter Bunny speech. And then at 9 I got There Is No Tooth Fairy speech. Now, if you're going to tell me at 10 that grown-ups don't have sex, then I've got nothing left to live for.